What's up, tennis fans? CB Picks here. The first round of the Munich Open has wrapped up all but one match. We still got one match outstanding. We got some second round picks to talk about. Let's take a look at the draw. Here's a look at Zverev's half of the draw. First match we're going to talk about is Zverev against Diallo. And Zverev able to get through a tough three-set match against Kekmanovic. Again, we talked about him, kind of righting some of these wrongs against guys that have had previous wins against him. Kekmanovic getting that win in Acapulco, that was a very close, tough-fought match. Here, Zverev able to just outlast Kekmanovic. I really like the way that Kekmanovic is playing. I felt like he's adjusted his play style to the clay, starting to hit a little bit more shape on the ball rather than hitting that flat, aggressive ball. That hitting flat and aggressive on the hard court is definitely going to challenge the Zverev movement. We've seen Sinner be able to do that, but here Zverev able to stay in a lot of these rallies against Kekmanovic, and then once he got to a breaker, you knew Zverev was going to win. The crowd's behind him. The breaker, it's a 50-50 chance of who's winning, and obviously the person with the crowd and the momentum is going to get pushed over the finish line. Zverev had a nice tweener volley in the middle of that. I think it was at 4-1, and then Kekmanovic missed the next ball, and Zverev goes up 5-1, and you're like, oh, it's over. But good on Zverev to be able to avenge the loss from Acapulco. He's going to take on Diallo, who beat Sachko 6-1, 6-2. And guys, we did have Sachko picked here. I just don't believe Diallo is a great clay courter. Now watch, he's going to go and beat Zverev here in the next round, but I just don't believe that he's playing good clay court tennis. The only problem was Sachko couldn't do anything against the power of Gabriel Diallo. Diallo just came out roping shots, taking balls early, ripping returns, and Sachko had nothing to really offer him. There were a lot of shots where he was being wrong-footed or just wasn't able to get to the ball. So really nice, straightforward match for Gabriel Diallo to kind of get his clay court campaign started. This was his first win on the clay, having lost to Molcan and Fonseca, both in straight sets. So good win for him here, 6-1, 6-2. Looking at the head-to-head for Zverev and Diallo, it is 1-0 for Zverev. They did meet in Australia this year, and that was a 6-7, 6-1, 6-4, 6-2 win for Zverev. And the one thing that I remember about that match was how Diallo just was content to go toe-to-toe with Zverev on the ground strokes. And I was especially to the backhand, I was really surprised at that, like how many cross-court backhand rallies he was just happy to have. And, I'm watching it and thinking, you're not going to win a lot of those rallies. You're going into the strength of Zverev. You're hitting just a regular flat ball. I feel like you should be kind of giving him a little bit of different paces, getting him a little bit more off balance, opening the court up, challenging the Zverev movement. Diallo's a big guy, so he can also try to come to net a little bit and just force Zverev to maybe hit through some small pockets past him. But it's really tough to change your strategy when you win the first set, and that's what Diallo did. He was able to get a 7-6 set off of Zverev and then gets rolled in the next three, and you just felt like Zverev was going to be able to kind of course correct there and win the next three sets, which he did pretty easily. Zverev coming in 4-1 right now on the clay, 18-7 last year, 23-6 the year before. Diallo, on the other hand, 1-2 on the clay, as we just talked about. 8-7 on the clay last year, 7-6 the year before. Not great. I mean, right now he's at 18-17 in his career on the clay. Zverev obviously having a much better clay court career. Zverev, it kind of feels like the only players that have beaten him have been Sinner in the last, I would say, month and a half. He's got 6 losses now, and 3 are to Sinner, 1 is to Carlos. So it does take kind of a special player or a special night for that player to kind of take them out, because obviously Kekmanovic able to do so in Acapulco. Let's see. I'm just curious who his other loss was. Her catch he lost to in the tune-up in Australia in straight sets. So that was his other. That's a little bit of a head-scratching loss. But I mean, the Kekmanovic match in Acapulco, 6-3, 6-7, 7-6, and he's able to get that 7-6 set here in Munich. The rest of the losses, Alcaraz, Sinner, Sinner, Sinner. So I just really feel like he's gonna win this. I just really feel he's gonna win this matchup. I'm gonna go with Zverev to advance. I think it's gonna be straightforward. I mean, he's just got to deal with the power of Diallo, and obviously the clay is a little bit slow, so it might be able to the ball might sit up a little bit more for Diallo to rip. But I love what I saw from Zverev today. He was rallying. He was rallying very good, very well off the ground. I think he's gonna have everything to beat Diallo tomorrow. So I'm gonna go with Zverev to advance in straight sets. Next match we have Cobolli taking on Bergs, and Cobolli able to get through a tough match against Darderi. And you know, I was wondering why Cobolli wasn't trying to shorten some of these points. Darderi had nothing to really offer to put Cobolli other than his speed. He can get to a lot of balls. He's got the heavy spin, but he doesn't really attack too much. So I just felt like if Cobolli played a little bit more aggressive, I mean, but then you're kind of risking, potential errors and stuff, so I get it. But once he got up a set and a break, we started to see Cobolli come into net, and honestly, I guess this proves me wrong, right? He gets broken doing that, and then he kind of goes back to grinding a few points out, ripping the forehand, opening the court up, and ripping through. But I just feel like against a guy like Darderi, he's not going to hit a lot of like offensive shots, so you can just come in, you can put the ball away, as long as you just stay kind of like consistent with some of those offensive shots. Cobolli able to survive nonetheless, 6-4, 7-5. He's going to take on Bergs. Bergs able to beat Topo, however you pronounce it. And this was a good showing by Bergs. We talked about how, he was going to be able to kind of chew up somebody that's a little bit of a lower level than him. And this would be a good confidence booster for Zizou Bergs. And he did exactly that. First set, he was on top of the ball most of the time, just being the aggressor. And I really liked what I saw from him. Just extremely strong tennis. He's able to get through this first round match 6-1, 6-4. And, we talk about he did look good again. Like, Bergs had a nice match against Rublev. And I just feel like the consistency for Bergs, like being able to play that aggressive style, the way he played today against Topo, it's just got to be more consistent. He can't – there are some days where he'll come out and he just misses so many balls. And, against a guy like Cobolli, that's going to give him a lot of confidence. Then he's going to start booming his forehand as well. Let's take a look at this Bergs-Cobolli matchup. 2-1 for Cobolli here. Let's look at their matches here. We'll go through all three of them. Cobolli able to beat Bergs in the U.S. Open second round of 2024, 4-6, 6-3, 7-5, 6-3. Bergs able to win in Davis Cup. That's an indoor hard court, 6-3, 6-7, 6-0. And then Cobolli able to get him back the year after in Davis Cup, 6-3, 6-7, 7-6. That was 17-15 in the final set breaker. That's unreal. We know Cobolli lives for those types of situations. Very, very big time gamer. Cobolli comes in. He's 2-1 on the clay, 15-6 last year, 10-9 the year before. We remember what he was able to do on the clay last year. Had a lot of success, making it deep in some tournaments, but losing in straight sets in the French Open to Zverev. Bergs, on the other hand, 3-1 on the clay, 2-5 last year, 17-7 the year before. So he is a little bit more comfortable on this surface, maybe more so than the other surfaces. Cobolli's 2 wins are against Darderi and Komasana. 1 loss to Blockx, who played very well in Monte Carlo. Bergs' 3 wins are against Topo, Rublev, and Manarino, and 1 loss to Zverev. Let's see how these guys did in Munich before. 2-1 record for Bergs. He only played in 2025, was able to make it out to the quarterfinals, losing to Marijan, but beat Bublik and Darderi. He beat Darderi 6-1, 6-1. We remember that match after Darderi got the win over Shapo. Cobolli struggled a little bit more with Darderi. Obviously, it's a year later. Darderi's a challenger level player. He's been developing. He's getting a lot better. So I don't know how much we can weigh into that. Sorry, let's take a look and see how Cobolli has done in Munich. If this page will load, here we go. 4-2, 4-2 in Munich. Lost in the first round to Shevchenko, 6-7, 6-3, 6-4. But in 2023 was able to make it out to the quarterfinals. This is going to be an interesting matchup, I feel. I think if Bergs is on, he can take Cobolli on. But I have yet to see that consistency from Bergs. I mean, yes, he beat Rublev, and obviously 6-4, 6-1. Rublev, a little bit injury, maybe a little bit with an injury there, kind of lost his mind towards the end of that match. It's really tough. Like, Cobolli's not going to do that stuff. I'm going to take Cobolli. I think this is going to be a 3-setter. I just love Cobolli in these tighter matches, though. So I'm going to take Cobolli to win. I say he advances in 3 sets. Next match, we have Kopriva and Darderi. And Kopriva Angle was a very fun match to watch. First set, Kopriva in full control. We thought, obviously, he's the much more solid clay courter, able to grind out a lot of longer points against Angle and just winning most of those points. A little bit discouraging for Angle. But then we saw Angle start to shorten the points up a little bit, play his aggressive style. He's stepping into the court a little bit more in that second set. And that was really impressive stuff. We talked about how Angle able to have success on the grass a little bit more than the clay. So he's got that faster style. But I liked what I saw from him in the second set. He wasn't able to keep up that level against Kopriva. But we know Kopriva, a very good clay court player. He's able to get through this match 6-3, 5-7, 6-2. Darderi able to get a very tough win over Zhang. And we talked about how Zhang probably was going to push Darderi a little bit. And honestly, guys, this is a perfect example of a match that, could have gone the way of Zhang. You talk about, it reminds me very similar to the Hurkacz loss, where Darderi should have won that in straights, but instead loses it in 3-6-1 in the third. And then here, I really feel like if Zhang wins that first set, he's probably winning in straights over Darderi. I still haven't seen great stuff. I thought in the third set, he finally started to get a little bit more confidence, started to hit the ball a little bit bigger, was able to play a little bit more offense against Zhang. But Zhang is not a naturally aggressive offensive player, so I guess that looks good. But for me, you got to prove it to me against a better clay quarter, and he's gonna have to here against Kopriva. Let's take a look at their head-to-head here. It is 3-2 for Kopriva. They have met 5 times since 2022, all on clay. What a surprise. Let's go through each of these matches. In 2022, Kopriva able to win in a challenger 6-3, 6-2. In 2023, Kopriva able to win in another challenger 4-6, 6-1, 6-0. In 2023, Kopriva able to win in another challenge, or Darderi able to get some revenge in a challenger 6-3, 4-6, 6-4. That was in the Buenos Aires challenger, and we know Darderi does play pretty well there. In 2025, Kopriva able to get the win in the Naples Challenger 3-6, 6-3, 7-6. Tough match there. That was the final for Kopriva to win the Naples final. And then in 2025, Darderi able to win in Marrakesh 7-5, 6-2 in the quarterfinals. And I believe Darderi won Marrakesh in 2025. So a nice run for him there. Interestingly enough, the Naples Challenger, very similar to this year, the Naples Challenger and Marrakesh were back-to-back, so Darderi able to exact a little bit of revenge in a 250 tournament. That means a little bit more than the Challenger final. Darderi able to get a little bit of revenge over Kopriva. Obviously, both guys, that's back-to-back weeks. Both guys may be a little bit tired, but this is why I always kind of label Darderi as the tank. I've seen him play back-to-back weeks, getting to the finals or winning both tournaments back-to-back. He can do that. He's got the ability to do that. So that's their 3-2 head-to-head here. Let's look at Darderi's coming in. He's 9-4 on the clay. Still not a bad record, but what we've seen in the last couple of weeks has not been great from him. 30-11 last year, 34-15 the year before. Kopriva is 7-6 on the clay this year, 25-13 last year, 21-16 the year before. Both very solid records. 11 losses for Darderi last year, 13 for Kopriva, 15 losses for Darderi in 2024, 16 for Kopriva. I mean, this is going to be a very tough match to predict here. Let's take a look at Kopriva's record in Munich. Did not play in 2025. Lost in the first round to Draper in 2024, and then lost in qualifiers to Topo in 2023. So not too great of a record here. One thing that I do want to note too, guys, is the weather is going to be it's going to warm up a little bit here in Munich. Like, you notice a lot of the audience, they're wearing like winter jackets and hats, and it's a little bit colder on the colder side there. But in the next few days, it's going to warm up to around 65, I believe, 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's going to be pretty warm for them there. And I would expect if it warms up that the clay is going to move a little bit faster as well. So we got to look out for who that's going to benefit. My guess would be guys like Cobolli, guys like Darderi. Darderi, on the other hand, in Munich, 2025 was his only showing. He lost in straight sets to Ben Shelton, who made it out to the finals there, beating Kekmanovic and O'Connell on the way to the quarterfinals. Ooh, sorry. Looking at this matchup, guys, I think this is going to be a three-setter. I think we're splitting hairs between these two guys. And honestly, if Darderi was playing a little bit better of tennis, I would pick him easily. I'd be like, okay, it's not even a question for me that Darderi's going to win this. But we haven't seen the greatest of tennis from Darderi. Losses to Hurkacz, Trungelliti, and Landaluce in Miami, Hijikata in Indian Wells. Winning in Chile, which was a big win for him over Hanfman, beating Pellegrino, Baez, and Hanfman to get there. I think this is going to be a chance for Darderi to kind of turn this clay season around for him. It was going so well back in March, back in early March, late February. And then he goes over to the hard courts. And now he comes back and he just doesn't seem like the same player. I'm going to go with Darderi to advance out here. And I'll say it's going to be 3 sets over Kopriva. Here's a look at Zverev's half of the draw. One match we didn't talk about was Zandschulp and Cerundolo. Just a quick reminder, though, these matches are fully broken down in the first part of our second round pick. So if you want a full breakdown, go ahead and check that out. I'll give you guys the cliff notes. Zandschulp looked good against Hussler. That was a guy that he was 1-1 against. So for him to be able to get through that in straight sets, that's a pretty nice showing for him. But now he takes on Cerundolo. Cerundolo getting that easy match against Nagal. I mean, there's not much we can read from him there. I didn't think he looked that good. I mean, he wins 2-2, right? But I wasn't too impressed with the forehand and the movement too much. He's going to have to step it up here. I just like that he's a little bit more of a clay quarter. He can play a little bit more offense against Zandschulp. But watch out, though. Zandschulp's got that full all-around game. So this could potentially be a tricky matchup for Cerundolo. But I got to pick him to kind of jumpstart this clay court season for himself and get out and face Zverev. Maybe challenge Zverev a little bit here in the quarterfinals. Looking at the draw overall, I mean, right now I got all the seeds advancing, which makes me a little bit scared because I don't think that's going to happen. I always think that there's room for parity here. So it wouldn't surprise me if one of these guys lost. If I were to pick one to lose, it would probably be Darderi first to lose to Kopriva. Then it would be Cerundolo to lose to Zandschulp. Then it would be Cobolli to lose to Bergs. And finally Zverev to Diallo. I feel like the Zverev and Cobolli matches should be pretty routine. I think they're going to be able to win both those matches. The other two I think are going to be toss-ups, especially if the opponent is playing very well. So we got to look out for those. But let's move on to the next half of the draw. Here's a look at Shelton's half of the draw, and we still have to finish that Marriage and Tsitsipas match. That's still going on. They split sets, so we gotta complete that. And honestly, though, guys, look out for whoever has that match. I kind of would favor the winner of the Marriage and Tsitsipas over Shapo, just because you're starting and you're only playing. I think they're at 2-all, maybe in the third. So it's not gonna be like a long set. I feel like Tsitsipas is gonna win here, but I feel like a match like that, or just like kind of playing like half a set, is gonna help you groove yourself and get ready for a match against a guy like Shapo. So I would pick the Marriage and Tsitsipas winner to advance over Shapo here, but hopefully we'll be able to talk about that. I'm not sure if that match is gonna be tomorrow as well. Let's talk about Altmaier and Molcan. We'll talk about Altmaier first because I'm a little upset about the Bublik match. Altmaier able to get through Cilic. We talked about, was Altmaier going to be able to neutralize the Cilic serve +1, and the answer was yes. He was so far back returning, but he used the space of the court and the slowness of the court to just get the ball in play against Cilic and neutralize him in those rallies, forcing Cilic to play a lot more points on the serve than he was comfortable with. And we started to see some misses from Cilic. We saw the movement from Cilic really being challenged. And Altmaier, he's playing with a lot of confidence here, guys. I really like what I'm seeing from him. Recently, he did have that success on the challenger level, losing to Medjedovic. I think that was in Naples, losing to Medjedovic in Naples and in the finals. But being able to get out there alone is pretty good. And we talk about, yes, I know these are just challenger level tournaments, but given the depth of the ATP that we're seeing now, in order to get to the finals of a challenger tournament, you're beating a couple of solid quality guys. Keep in mind, Landaluce, Hadar, Blockx, they're all guys that have kind of come up from the challengers. So Altmaier's kind of grinding down there, and I feel like that's given him a little bit of confidence to beat a guy like Cilic. He's able to advance 6-2, 6-3. And then we had Molcan upsetting Bublik. This was the surprise of the tournament so far. Molcan, we remember, he was able to have a nice run in, I believe it was Bucharest. Yes, he made it out to the quarterfinals where he lost to Navoni, but was able to beat Diallo 6-2, 6-2, Arnaldi 6-3, 6-1, and then came out of the qualifiers. Went 3 sets with Navoni, so he's a tough customer, and he was able to just get out up a break early, and that set the tone for Bublik a little bit. Bublik able to fight back. they were playing much more competitive games towards the end of that set, but Molcan able to hold on and win for a 6-4 set. And then it was just all Molcan in the second set. I mean, I was really happy with what we were seeing from there. The Bublik drop shot just not working against Molcan. He's too fast. He gets up to the ball. He makes Bublik play a tough ball back. So a little bit of a head scratcher here for Alexander Bublik, but we have noted, guys, we're seeing a little bit of regression from Bublik, whether it's on the hard court or maybe coming up on the grass, and then even the indoor hard court surface. Just a little bit of regression from him, so I think we're going to continue to see that here on the clay, where he did have a lot of success last year. I feel like we're going to see a little bit of regression here from him this year. So great win for Molcan. He gets through 6-4, 6-2. Let's take a look at this head-to-head here. These guys have not met before, but man, what an opportunity for Altmaier and Molcan to get through to the quarterfinals. You look at this side of the draw, guys. No seeds left. I mean, big-time opportunity here for these guys for sure. Molcan 9-2 on the clay, 38-10 last year, 10-11 the year before. Altmaier 7-5 on the clay, 13-8 last year, 19-20 the year before. Altmaier with a tough 3-set loss to Mahatch in Monte Carlo. We talked about how well Mahatch played in Monte Carlo, taking Sinner to 3 sets there. Altmaier did come out in Bucharest. Remember, he made the finals in Naples, had to come over, play a first round in Bucharest, only 2 days after that Naples final, and then he had a really tough match against Prismic, but had to play Merida the same day, so he lost to him in straights. Kind of ran out of energy there. But guys, if we have any questions about Altmaier playing good clay court tennis, look up his highlights against Prismic. I mean, I thought they had some crazy rallies. They were playing just fun tennis there to watch. I'm trying to think about how I feel about this match. I mean, obviously, Molcan having a lot of success on the clay, 9-2, 38-10. You know, this guy's going to be a tough out here on the clay. I'm going to pick Molcan to follow up this Bublik win. I kind of liked what I saw from him. I liked the speed. I liked the spin, the heavy top spin. And I feel like he was able to grind out, wins over Diallo and Arnaldi. Got close against Navoni, but Navoni just a little bit too strong on the clay. I think this is going to be a 3-setter here. I think we're going to see some nerves here because both guys will have an opportunity to get to a quarterfinal against the other guy. No seed, no threat really. You have the 166th ranked player against the 56th ranked player playing in a 500 here. Molcan does have 5 hours on court right now, so maybe that'll factor in. But we didn't really see much fatigue even in that long tournament in Bucharest. So I don't think I would be too concerned about that. I'm going to go with Molcan to advance in 3 sets. Next match, we have a rematch of the Monte Carlo match between Rinderknech and Fonseca. This was less than a week ago, so now these guys are meeting again in the round of 16 here this time. Let's talk about Rinderknech against Mickelson first. This was a straightforward match for Rinderknech. I know 3-3, right? It was only a break a set, but Rinderknech just the better clay quarter, and you could tell. I will say Mickelson looked better this match than he did in Houston. I noted, I think he beat Coleman Wong first round. He played well. He won in straights, I think, and I just noted that I felt like his movement was not great, that it would be exposed, and it kind of was against Popperin, who just came out and started roping shots left and right on Mickelson, and the Mickelson defense on the clay is not great, so he loses that match. He loses his mind a little bit, 6-1 in the third. He comes out here, has a decent mindset, but as the match kind of started to go towards the end, I think he started to get a little bit more frustrated. And yeah, it is a little bit frustrating when he's had previous success on the clay before, just isn't able to make it happen here. But keep in mind, he's now playing at some much higher levels here in the 500s and 250 like Houston, just playing some tougher guys, tougher competition here. But Rinderknech able to use that serve and volley, takes a lot of time away. With him being able to kind of rush the net and play some offensive ground strokes, that challenges the Mikkelsen movement. So he was able to do that very successfully. I didn't think this match was ever really in doubt from Rinderknech. So he advances 6-3, 6-3. And he will take on Fonseca, who had a great win over Diallo. Diallo, we've talked about, he's been playing good tennis. He has a 2-0 head-to-head against Fonseca, and Fonseca able to turn that around in straight sets. We did call this, guys. I felt like Fonseca was due for the revenge again in the loss against Diallo over in South America. And he gets a straight set revenge. I mean, that's really nice. And the last thing you want to do is be grinding out a long match against a guy like Diallo. That's where you can kind of get into trouble. But Fonseca able to shorten some of these points, play aggressive still. His shots still look amazing. And he's only getting better. I mean, this is extremely impressive stuff. I think the Fonseca game is finally coming together. So everybody's got to be hoping that he keeps advancing in these tournaments so he can finally get a seed in Roland Garros. Because I don't think anyone wants to see this guy first round, especially if you're a seeded player. Let's talk about this Rinderknech-Fonseca matchup. Fonseca leads the head-to-head 1-0. They just played at Monte Carlo. It was a 7-5, 4-6, 6-3 win for Fonseca in the second round. Let's take a look at these stats here because obviously, we feel like not much is going to change here. Fonseca with 50 winners compared to Rinderknech with 40 winners. Fonseca serving, first serves at 68%. He won 70% of those points. Second serves at 58%. On the other hand, we had Rinderknech. He served at 58% first serves, won 75% of those points, and second serve was 56% of points won. Fonseca was able in the first set, he got up to a quick 4-1 lead and then kind of let it slip away a little bit, but was able to get the break at the end to win the first set. I mean, that was a little bit of a tricky set there. It really didn't have to be. It could have been a straight set match, or could have been an easy first set. Rinderknech able to break early in the second set and then rides that out to win the second set. And the third set was a late break by Fonseca, and that was where he started to get the crowd into it, and you really felt his momentum building. Is he going to have the crowd here? I'm sure he will. He has the crowd everywhere he goes. The Brazilian fans follow, or now his bandwagon of fans gets larger and larger every tournament. I'm trying to think of, what is it that Rinderknech can do to kind of upset the rhythm of Fonseca. I think he needs to kind of shorten some of these points. I think he needs to use that serve and volley a little bit more effectively. If he can rush Fonseca into some errors, I think that's where he'll find a little bit of success. Fonseca sitting at 5-3 right now on the clay, 8-5 last year, 14-11 the year before. Rinderknech sitting at 2-1 on the clay, 9-10 last year, 6-7 the year before. I really want to pick Rinderknech, guys. I just the revenge factor is always so important for me, and I just think when you've seen the same guy again, you're going to want to beat him even more than you did the first time you guys played. And there's always those adjustments that you make. I just feel like the guy that loses is more prone to making stronger adjustments to figure out how to win than the winner making the adjustments. Ooh, this is a really hard one because Fonseca is playing so well. I mean, he looked good against Diallo. I just really liked what I saw. It is getting warmer out, so the courts are going to pick up a little bit. I thought they're probably a little bit slower in Monte Carlo, maybe. And you had the wind. Can't do it. I'm gonna go with Fonseca. He's gonna win in 3 sets. I I feel like I'm gonna eat my words here, but I gotta go with the hot hand. Fonseca's playing great tennis here. I mean, Rinderknech, he's 2-1 on the clay. His only wins are against Kachanov, who we saw lost today, and then Mickelson, who I feel like is not a great clay quarter. You know, he hasn't played, he hasn't beaten a good clay quarter yet. This would be a top-notch win for Rinderknech. I know it was 3 sets last time. I think it's going to be 3 sets again, but we got to ride with Fonseca. I mean, this guy has looked amazing, so give me Fonseca to win in 3. And here's a look at Shelton's half of the draw. Again, our second round picks for the Blockx and Shelton match. Full breakdown is in part 1. You can go there and just click on that Blockx Shelton chapter and you'll get the full breakdown. I'll give you guys the cliff notes here. I just think the offense of Blockx is really going to bother Shelton. The biggest question here is, can Blockx break Shelton? I'm not sure if I really want Blockx to beat him in 2 breakers. I think he has the ability to, but I would rather Blockx be able to break Shelton and kind of serve out those sets rather than have to face a guy with Shelton's momentum in a breaker. I felt like Shelton, in a lot of those points against Nava, he was playing fairly defensive. I think Blockx is going to put him in the same positions. I don't like Shelton playing defensive, especially on a clay court. I think it's very tough for him to get back on the offense. He's got to play a lot shorter points than he did against Nava. Is he going to be able to do that against Blockx? I don't think so. I like the defense of Blockx. I like the offense of Blockx. I think Blockx is playing very well, and I think it's time for him to get a top 10 win here. So I'm going to take him over Shelton. Looking at the half as a whole, I mean, guys, this would be my dream matchup. Now that I picked Fonseca, I'm like, I see we're not going to get this because my dream matchup, Fonseca and Blockx, 2 guys with their games moving in the right direction and a chance to make a semifinal of a 500. I mean, just tons of opportunity, especially look who's on the other side, guys. Molcan, Altmaier, Tsitsipas, Marijan, and Shapo. Tons of opportunity for these guys to get out and play in the finals. I mean, whoever gets out here is probably going to face Zverev in the finals. Who do I think it's going to be? I'm going to say Fonseca. Let's get a Fonseca Zverev rematch final. I mean, that would be awesome. But let me know what you guys think. Post your picks in the comments. Here's a look at our first round records. 9-5 for me, so able to bounce back from that rocky start of a first day. 8-2 for the Pamplemousse, really good coming from the Pamplemousse. 10-0 on the Barcelona picks, 8-2 on the Munich picks. So great picks coming from the Pamplemousse. We're both still waiting on that Tsitsipas Marijan match to finish our records out, but hopefully we can deliver some winners for the second round as well. And as always, guys, thanks again for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, share your picks in the comments, share the video. We will have a video out every single day covering the Munich Open matches and going through the matches the next day and the day after. Looking forward to that. We also have a video out on the Barcelona Open, so definitely check that out to keep up on everything tennis. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in the next video.